This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And well, it's 10 o'clock. That means we're following up that breaking news on James Neal yesterday, and it will appear that James Neal, according to Chris Johnston of Sportsnet, has indeed cleared waivers for the Edmonton Oilers, and we'll have another waiver discussion up a little bit later today because there's a guy that the Oilers might be interested in picking up if they can make it work out for them. So this is the news we all expected. There was maybe a 1% chance in all of this that James Neal would get claimed. However, now we know for a fact that once all our D are healthy, whether Bear be ready for Monday, the game after, whatever the case may be, we now have that little bit of extra added flexibility we are looking for when it comes to making roster decisions, and that's huge. So this was perhaps one of the Oilers' largest gambles of the year, if you want to go there, right? Tyler Ennis, probably second, Alex Chiasson, probably third, so on and so forth down the list. But now you see the Oilers, they're starting to build this taxi squad situation into basically a farm system for when you want to have your defenseman on the roster, which Evan Bouchard, the only defenseman as of current, I believe, if I read correct yesterday, that can go to the taxi squad without requiring waivers. So now in that, if you're going to go choose how to do it, right? Caleb Jones, you don't want to lose him. He's obviously, if not going to pan out to be a defenseman on this team longer term this season, a valuable trade asset when you go to the trade deadline if you want to go that route. And then, of course, you've got William Lagesson, who, if he continues his play the way he's played, you're not going to end up trading him. And there's, you kind of see the complication in that with Bear returns, and yeah, it is what it is. You've got 9 defensemen, and you got to make moves somewhere if you need to, and that would be Chris Russell in my mind if you need to make a move. Because if he goes claimed, then you're giving up $4 million in salary, similar to James Neal. But as it currently stands for the Oilers, they will roll a situation with 9 defensemen on the roster, 2 goalies on the roster. That's 11. So you only have on the 23-man roster room to roll another 12 players, which is your forward group. So night by night, you're going to see for the next little while, guys get recalled and sent down to the taxi squad to have that 12 forward group, right? And obviously James Neal, probably a guy that fits on the 12 forward group more often than not. So this isn't like James Neal is being banished to the taxi squad more or less like Jujhar Khaira was to light a spark under his bum. It was more so just a flexibility thing to allow the Oilers to continue to use 9 defensemen throughout this next little stretch here. I think the time goes out to the 4th week of February, so somewhere around like the 26th, 27th, until we have to play some guys on waivers again, and I don't exactly know how that all works. I think they have a month where they have flexibility between the taxi squad without having to claim waivers again. I'm beyond on the math here, and it's way too early in the morning to try and figure it out live on a video. But for the Oilers, the flexibility is the key. It continues to be a thing for us now. James Neal now officially clearing waivers, and you see kind of the conundrums that begin for other teams now, as you've got Alex Galchenyuk, Paul Byron, Paul Lindholm, Danny DeKeyser, and Gabriel Carlson all on waivers today. So there's a couple of guys that you might want to look at, right? Maybe a Danny DeKeyser and a Paul Byron are names that jump off that sheet to you if you're wanting to talk waiver wire stuff right now. So the other side too is Alex Galchenyuk, a name that might jump off the page for somebody, but Galchenyuk's on waivers. He'll remain in Canada for another 24 hours. If a Canadian team wants to claim him, he won't need 14-day quarantine. And if Toronto wants to claim him, then it's really, really friggin' simple for them. So that's just the way it goes at this current stance. Is this taxi squad waivers nonsense is fun, but also a little bit of concern for us Oilers fans sometimes when you see a name like James Neal, a name like Alex Chiasson, a name like Tyler Ennis on waivers. Obviously, I think everybody celebrated the fact when Jujhar Khaira hit waivers there for the taxi squad at the start of the year. But as it currently stands right now, the Oilers are maximizing flexibility unlike they have for a lot of years because you simply have that to do in a landscape where, like claiming a James Neal, if you're an American team, yeah, maybe it made sense, but then you have to wait all that time to get him down there, get him in the lineup, get him up to speed, and right, you see how waiver claims aren't quite as simple as they were. And I mean, like I said, it's a 1% chance to begin with, but it ends up being a 0% chance because he clears waivers and remains with the Oilers, so that's welcome news. However, the only unwelcome news in all of this, if you were cheering for the contract to be taken away from us, well, you don't end up losing the contract of James Neal as of 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. So that's a little unfortunate, but that's okay. We'll battle through and we'll get going. As now just waiting on a couple other tweets to come out. I want to see if there's anything. There is nothing else on James Neal here, so just get you the James Neal stats and kind of give you my expectations for what James Neal's going to deliver the rest of the way home this season, in a season where right now he's on the taxi squad and finding himself in cap savings territory. He's got 3 points in 9 games, does James Neal. So that's not a bad situation. 2 goals, 1 assist in 9 games. And a guy that will probably, after sitting out on Monday or even possibly playing on Monday, he will end up being with the Oilers in the next game almost for sure. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. What I want you to do now is kind of go to the cap friendly page, okay? I want you to go check out how all the cap savings and stuff work and just educate yourself, because that's what I feel I have to do at this point right now, because there's a lot I'm missing in terms of this taxi squad waiver wire cap saving stuff when it comes to a guy like James Neal. I'll try and get that going, and then we will end up talking Paul Byron here in the next little bit, because I think that's an intriguing name to see out there on the waiver wire for the Edmonton Oilers, especially because he's from a Canadian team, right? The Montreal Canadiens. And as you can currently see, that would maybe be a benefit and upgrade somewhere along the side. But if not on waiver wire, do you end up making a trade for a guy like Paul Byron? I'm not 100% sure, but we'll discuss it in the upcoming video today. I'm Tyson, Dolynny TV, as always, up on out of here.